If you're a Cornel West supporter, you need to watch this. In this video, I'm going to reveal why the Democratic Party telling you that, oh my God, Trump is coming, why that's not effective anymore. But before we do that, I'm Tim Black. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you are a Cornel West supporter, good, so am I. And we're going to go through the Cornel West 2024 campaign together. So become a part of it now. Subscribe. So up until this point, the Democrats are making it a exercise of fear, telling everybody that Donald Trump is fascism coming through the door and we got to stop him. And if you vote for Dr. Cornel West, you might as well just open the door to Trump, open the door to fascism. It's all over and it's all your fault.
Because Donald Trump is telling us that very clearly, is bragging about the fact that he doesn't want to live under the Constitution anymore. And it's very clear that the only thing that Dr. West's candidacy can do is help elect Donald Trump.
And that was an argument that was working pretty effectively on some people, not on all of us. But now it's got even less credibility. You know why? Because of that Georgia indictment. Yeah, that Georgia indictment's different. That Georgia indictment means that Donald Trump, if he's convicted, he goes to jail for 5 years, and he can't pardon himself. And Governor Kemp can't pardon him either. Because Georgia's one of those states, one out of 3 states in America, where the governor cannot issue you a pardon and get you off. So if Donald Trump's convicted, he's gone, man. He's out of there. Now what are you going to use, Democrats? You mean to tell me the Democratic Party is so flimsy, so soft, so ineffective that they can't go up against a guy with 4 indictments and beat him? You need us to not empower the Green Party? You need us not to make the Green Party be able to be a viable party because you're so afraid of a guy you can't beat who has 4 indictments? Is that how bad Joe Biden is in campaigning? Is that how bad Joe Biden's record is? Is that how much fear the Democrats have in one guy? Yes, it is. And if you're a Cornel West supporter, let me tell you why. Dr. West gives you an opportunity to give your kids something your parents never gave you. A third party. See, no longer will you be captive to the Democrats as they point over at the KKK Republicans and tell you, we are the only ones that can save you. Now take these pennies and go home. No more will that be effective because now we got a third party option. More options, less leverage that they have against you to fearmonger you, especially to my black voters. See, Dr. Cornel West is operating outside of the political apparatus called the DNC. We're not relying on the DNC to allow us on the ballot. We're not allowing for the DNC to determine if we get to get into the primaries. We know they're not going to have primaries. Hell, they're scared of RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson. You know, they petrified of meeting Dr. Cornel West. And why is that? Why are the Democrats so petrified in being challenged from the left? Because they know they don't have anything to offer the left. They know that they've been failing us time and time again.
But also today, Cornel West just announced a third-party bid. I covered Bernie Sanders in 2019 and 2020, so I was around Cornel West quite a bit. He's somebody with a strong base of support that people connect with. You know, RFK Jr. as high as 20% in some of these polls. Do either of these men threaten Joe Biden's appeal that he's not Donald Trump and that effort as he tries to coalesce that not Donald Trump vote?
Right. So they both they appeal to different constituencies, but the idea, especially among some of these voters who turned out only to vote against Donald Trump, these other 2 candidates may be a reason to vote for something, right, rather than just a vote against something.
Which gets to the real reason why the Democratic Party is afraid of Dr. Cornel West running. And it ain't got nothing to do with no Donald Trump. Let me tell you something that no one else has told you. Let me reveal something to you. Folks, how does America work? How does our political system work? It works like this most of the time. Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. You don't think the Republicans were due a win after Obama did 8 years? Typically, the country swings back to whatever side was out of power and goes, hey, what you got for us? We had this other person. Let's try you for a while. That's a very typical thing that happens in America. And what did the Democrat Party do? They were able to give us Donald Trump and then beat Donald Trump and stop him at only 4 years. I believe the Democrats already planned to do this. I believe they wanted Donald Trump. And as much as they say Donald Trump was bad for the country, they were glad it was Donald Trump. Because if it would have been Mike Pence or Cruz, he may have gotten 2 terms. I don't think the Democrats were really all that surprised that Donald Trump won. Did you want 4 years of Trump, or do you want 8 years of Michael Pence? Or Ted Cruz? Or Chris Christie? Or Lindsey Graham? I think we'll take the 4 years and go. And that's what the Democratic Party did. So, there's no way to disprove my theory. It is a theory, but it's rooted in facts. And NBC and CNN gave Donald Trump $1 billion worth of free coverage. Why'd they do that if they didn't want him to win? They knew it would be good for the ratings and good for the rankings. And they also knew they could come back and beat him. And now he's even more wounded than he was in 2020. The guy has 4 indictments. He's got indictments falling out of his pockets, out of his ears, coming out of his nose even. You mean to tell me that you think that Joe Biden is that petrified, the Democrats are that petrified that they can't beat Donald Trump and they just beat him in 2020? So here's the real deal, folks. Something else you're not going to hear on sold out news networks. Listen. The real issue that the Democratic Party has is that they're afraid that they're losing the black vote. Yeah, you're losing the black vote because black folks do not feel that the Democratic Party works on their behalf. Now, this has been brewing for quite some time. It has. But a new Ipsos poll shows that 49% of black Americans feel their life didn't get any better under Joe Biden. They notice no difference. And here's the kicker. 45% of white Americans feel exactly the same way. Nothing changed under Biden. This is a recipe for disaster for Biden. He had all the tools. He had the House, the Senate, and of course the White House. And what did he do with them? Half measures. And tell us what he couldn't do and threw all the power behind Joe Manchin. If anything, they should have took Joe Manchin behind the mansion and beat his ass. But they didn't. Instead, they feigned like there was nothing we could do. We got to stay moderate because, you know, Kristen Sinema, Joe Manchin. And we're supposed to go along with that? We're supposed to buy it? Folks, the reason why the Democratic Party is so upset, is so up in arms about Cornel West running, because Dr. Cornel West will ignite black voters, and also it will ignite a third party that will be a viable option against the Democrats. Nothing lasts forever.
You've never run a large bureaucracy or had any major governmental leadership role. Isn't that important to actually governing as president?
Oh, absolutely. I'd have to bring in people who are experienced. But the important thing is your vision and the lens through which you view the world. Policy is something that can be worked out in light of vision. If your vision is one of militarism abroad, then you're going to be preoccupied with wars and militaristic adventures. We've known Biden's got a long history. I don't think he's actually seen a war that he hadn't supported. I think the invasion and occupation of Iraq was a crime against humanity. How many precious hundreds of thousands of Iraqis were killed based on a lie? Well, Biden was running interference in that regard. I think mass incarceration in the United States in the last 40 years is a crime against humanity. I've taught in prisons for 41 years. I've stayed in contact with the rich humanity of my brothers and sisters who have been incarcerated. And many have done things they shouldn't have done. And many are there because they're innocent. But the important thing is, they are sites of barbarity. We ought to be ashamed to live in a country when you look at the conditions of our brothers and sisters who are incarcerated. And it's not just the 1994 crime bill. You can go back to the Biden Thernstrom. He was a Strom Thernstrom bills of 84 and 86 and 91 and then 94. You see what I mean? So it's just a matter of trying to be truthful. I'm not trying to trash Brother Biden. I really not. I'm trying to make him accountable for his actions.
With Dr. Cornel West being a black man who's well known across the globe, the most popular public intellectual in history. Look at the name recognition. The Democratic Party is due for a bruising because they're not giving the black voter anything to go home with. We're still at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, and we're not taking it no more. And that's why Dr. Cornel West running right now puts him in a very vulnerable situation. Hell, it was Joe Biden that got up there and said, if it wasn't for black folks, what did he say?
Gay, straight, transgender, white, Latino, Asian, Native American. I mean it, especially those moments and especially for those moments when this campaign was at its lowest ebb, the African-American community stood up again for me. You've always had my back, and I'll have yours.
What did Joe Biden say when he got elected? Who did he say he owes his presidency to? And what did we get out of it? 49% of Black Americans said we didn't get much. If anything, no change in their lives. This is a problem. I don't care how many times CNN tries to guilt trip you into voting for Joe Biden. I don't care how many times MSNBC tries to rope-a-dope you about the guilt you should feel over Joe Biden. I don't care about all the smear tactics and the fear tactics of even independent media, MSNBC Light, how they try to push you into the Democratic Party arms. Folks, it's way past time for a pushback against the two-party system. So what's up? Are you down to do this or not? It's time you look your cable news provider in the eye and you say, it's a new day. Like I always say, don't you let nobody take your cornbread. And that's exactly what they're trying to do right now. Take your cornbread. Dr. Cornel West is an opportunity to break the stranglehold that the Democratic Party has on your vote. How are you going to keep them honest if you just give it to them? There's always a reason to be afraid, and there's always also a reason to have courage. We got to take it. All right, I'm Tim Black. Subscribe to this channel for more content. You know where to find me. People over party. People over politics. I love y'all.
Extra innings are bonus segments from Tim Black's Black Table Show with the Blacks. That's Tim Black and the amazing Mrs. Black. For early access to extra innings, become a paid member of the Tim Black Show at jointimblack.com. Ain't nothing like the real thing. Baby, join today. See you there, Wolfpack.